Colonial Calendar, in a nutshell, it marks the dates and years on which countries that were part of the British Empire became independent. So it's putting all of them together in one infographic list calendar, but basically it's an art print. It's part of History Speak. And History Speak is a project that I started during my master's, and Luca was one of the original collaborators back in 2014. When I first told you about the project, the idea that I want to list all the independence dates of all the countries into one sort of infographic or art print, what was your impression and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I remember History Speak as a project from a few years ago, and I remember that I saw year by year popping out different elements and new parts of the project, and it got me excited about it. I always believed that this project was holding something special, which is the idea that like history is very much a perspective, and there are so many ways in which you can look at one topic. And so when we talked about the project of the calendar, my initial thoughts were like, how can we apply that same mentality to designing a product that belongs to a project like this?
When I gave you all the data and you started actually engaging with it, looking at the Wikipedia pages and everything, was there anything that surprised you?
Well, first of all, the amount of countries that were able to get independence, I was really surprised to see how many. And made me think of like how important and valuable really this work is, because it's opening up to like a part of history that is so unknown. Like there are parts of history of independence and decolonization that are that we study also in our countries. Like I'm from Italy, and I study independence of India from the UK, but I don't study independence of Gambia from the UK. I don't study independence of like I don't even in a way like go too deep into understanding like how those are connected, and if they're happening at the same time in history, why is that? And so I was just surprised, like content-wise, I was surprised to see like how much I didn't know, which I think it's actually what hopefully this calendar can also do, to make people go through the same process that as I did. I did in a condensed time, but I hope that they can go through it monthly by monthly time as that time of the year clicks in, and that they see that their name on the calendar. They might do a little Wikipedia Googling as well, and they might change their mind about these countries.
So, what was your thinking, and what is the conceptualizing aspect behind this particular interpretation of time?
Right. So one of the main calendars that really caught my eye as I was studying them was actually the so-called perpetual clock. The perpetual clock is a clock that is circular. In its own definition, it's got different circles actually that interfere within each other. The most probably commonly known perpetual clock is the one, if you know, if you've ever been to Prague. But in the main square in Prague, there is this clock that shows the interference of different circles. And actually, what those circles do, they show different elements. They show different time and hours. They have like they're pretty much like 6 or 8 circles that they are intertwined in each other. So there is a 24-hour clock. Then you have areas of showing daytime and nighttime. You have like also embedded in geography, so you have space embedded in it. You got like the tropics as well as the equator, and then you got the another circle within it that shows the signs and the sky really. So the revolutions of the moon and the sun. So I found that super interesting because it is looking at time from an out, like in zooming in and out of time in many different ways. And so by looking at that, I was thinking like, what if we look at the different moments in history, events in history that happen every month as clock hands. They will show different moments of time within the month. So what if we try to look at the bigger picture and put it into a signifier that is actually very much about a small picture, which is what we put on our wrist. So that was like pretty much like the process around the main reference that really I brought into this.
Lucas designed 3 colorways, and I think all of them evoke a different mood. I think that color approach was more to do with interior design. I'm sorry, that's my assumption. What were your because they're
The
all so
spatial
distinct.
lens, spatial lens.
Yeah.
For me, I was actually looking at the flags of the countries. I was trying to understand like what are some elements that are in common. But then I think it got a little bit too convoluted. I didn't want to create too much of a color palette that would just be too representative of those.
Yeah.
I was trying to just find the commonality between them, and like some of the yellows became some of the elements in common. And then I also wanted to create like some dynamism. So like the three calendars are actually quite different in colorways, so they can behave and live in different parts of the house or different parts of the studio.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, they're so distinct that everyone will like at least one of them, if not more. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
My pleasure. It's been amazing. Thanks for making me part of this project, and good luck with what's coming.